Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Washington Live, powered by KCTC. I'm your host, Jaron Rosine. I'm joined in the studio by Nick Steffens. Our publisher is Matt Bryant. We're part of the Southeast Iowa Union, and today our guest is County Attorney John Gish. Hey, John.
Good morning.
Good morning. John is joining us right out the gate because, when we dive into the police report, there's some expertise there, and sometimes eventually it lands on your desk.
Maybe so.
We'll find out today in just a minute. First, a little housekeeping. If you have a birthday to share with us, please put that in the chat, or you can email those to washialive@gmail.com. County Attorney John Gish is our guest today. Upcoming guests include Carrie Ann, the librarian for the City of Washington, will be our guest next week on Monday. And then on Wednesday next week, we'll have Mikkel Anding Rank, who will be our guest on Wednesday. She is a therapist, counselor here in town, and we'll talk about her new practice. Let's hop right into it. As we speak, it is 69 degrees and sunny. I should say hi to Nick. Hi, Nick.
Yeah, you keep forgetting to do that.
To say hello?
Yeah.
I'm saying hello now.
I'm just messing with you.
No, well, happy Wednesday to you.
It's a good Wednesday.
I like that shirt. It's a sharp one.
Thank you. I feel like I get self-conscious since we're on video. I have to be really conscious about what I'm wearing because there's evidence of what I...
Well, I think it's all right. This is, and John, you may know, you watch the show. This is Nick's first job out of college. So,
yeah.
Hired right out of UNI. Where'd you go to school?
I went to school at Iowa State. Go Cyclones. You probably lost half your audience there.
Iowa grad myself.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Well, to back up what he said, I've watched the episodes lately, and you have, in fact, forgotten to acknowledge him.
Oh, shoot. I thought I said
right.
Hi at our last.
Well, you did. The past two episodes, I think this is usually when you say hi, is you get going and then you're like, oh, crap.
Well, room for improvement as I focus my energy. I'm glad everyone keeps me on task. Honesty is just fine. And then I get distracted. So we've mentioned the weather. We've said hi to Nick. Local events and police report. Let's see. What do we have? There's a comedy show tonight and Wednesday at Lebowski's. The comedian is A.J. Wilkerson. And on Saturday, I have in my notes, this is the Hospice of Washington County Memorial Walk/Run. So you could do either. It's an 8 a.m. registration. It starts at Sunset Park, and that is a 9 a.m. race. You can register anytime after 8 this Saturday. Any events that I'm missing?
Not that I know of.
Let's hop into the police report. I think, so shout out right away to your wife for being in the police report this go around.
That's right. Yeah. I learned last night she had to go to Walmart to pick up some essentials for home. And as she was driving, she saw what she thought was a child sitting in a ditch with some bags with her.
Yes.
So she stopped her car because she thought she might know the kid because she's a teacher in town. It turned out it was a grown woman who was stranded here and didn't have a way back home in Iowa City. So my wife is on there at 1937 hours, 7:37 p.m.
Welfare check, and on 12th and 15th, and the lady was given a ride.
That's right. Officer Ben Altenhofen with the PED was there, and very, very good officer, and came in and took care of her.
Above and beyond. We see that a lot as we're reading, and you see it in the show too as we read the police report. I am pleased that our men and women in blue are trying to solve problems and just go above and beyond all the time.
I think you said in previous episodes, they're more than just police officers. They're
animal control with the bats.
just helping with so much.
And yes, not a therapist, counseling families sometimes, and then of course the animal is a lot. In this police report, since we last spoke, I'll just run through it real quick. We have animals are not on the top of the list. There's only one. Of the 53 calls for service, traffic is in the lead with 16. Some family offenses, some suspicious activity, theft in the single or double, civil dispute, property lost and found. Then our usual rundown are all in the singles. Thanks for pulling some highlights. In the southern part of the county, we had a report of 3 subjects going door to door stating they were out of gas and need money. That incident was passed on to Jefferson County. Hey, so you mentioned before how you could be helpful because PBX is, we learned that's a switchboard call. Do you know what the letters actually stand for?
I tried to think about that. I was watching the show, and I could not think of what it actually stands for.
We know the answer, but I'm like, well, it has to stand for something. Well, so now we have another question to pose.
James comments again.
We have a caller reporting 2 male subjects at the church getting into the dumpster and trying to plug in their electronic devices.
So
104 responded, unable to locate.
they're trying to plug their phones in the dumpster, or is that a separate?
This does confuse me. And in this vein, is dumpster diving illegal or illegal if it's trespassing and that's been decided? Can you advise?
I could not advise. No, I will say that, one of the things law enforcement used to do in investigations is do trash pulls. And sometimes that's how we uncovered evidence of drug dealing. They would have their packaging materials and whatever else in the trash. And the Supreme Court said that, of Iowa, said that we can't do that anymore because people have even a reasonable expectation of privacy of trash that's on their curb.
Interesting. Our next call for service is a subject throwing their stuff out of the house. 104 110 responded, parties will remain separated for the night. There's an example.
Wasn't it being thrown on the roof?
That must be a different one.
Oh, I must have grabbed the wrong one. I thought I said it was being thrown on the roof.
I don't see it in this one. We have a couple more to cover before we go to break, and then we'll talk about the work and life of our county attorney. Caller advised, subject gave them a trailer. The subject's sister is upset and would like the trailer back. 92.8 spoke with the caller, and the trailer will be retrieved by another party tomorrow. A civil standby has been requested upon their arrival. The caller was given a written warning for trespass.
Don't give your siblings trailers away.
So reading in between the lines, we had a civil dispute is the category of the call. Anything you'd like to add to this?
No, nope, I don't.
Down the road, again, we have a subject that had posted online. They had broken into a resident and burned into a residence, I think we meant, and burned personal items. 9211 attempted to contact the caller and was unable to leave a message. 9211 ended up responding, and this was unfounded. So miscommunication, theft, other.
Yeah, if you're going to commit a crime, don't post it online. That's even if you didn't commit a crime, don't post online.
Don't say that. If you're committing a crime, please post about it online.
I meant, I guess for this case, they didn't commit a crime and then posted online that they did.
Well, it depends on which end of the job you're on, I suppose.
Yeah.
The last is a highlight because I guess it wasn't categorized as an animal call. It was categorized as public service. Caller requests assistance getting into the house. Her dog locked the deadbolt with her keys inside. Officers responded and assisted the subject. That's unfortunate and strange. I'm surprised they were able to twist without the thumbs.
Oh, we have an answer on
the PBX.
PBX. It is a private branch exchange. Shout out to Molly Jennings for letting us know on that one. Private branch exchange. Branch.
Okay. Now we know. Appreciate that. On the note of public service, one of the public services our officers provide is vehicle unlocks because these things occasionally happen. There's been rotations of a conversation about charging for that. We don't want you to lock your keys in your vehicle, but there is no charge for that. That is one of the many things that our officers do. There is liability that you typically would sign off if they're on your car, but one of the many other services that we haven't talked about yet on the show. Mm-hmm. Before we go to break, do we have a national day or an almanac thing? Or
the national day is National Parents' Day Off Day. So if you're a parent, take a day off. I don't know if your boss is going to allow that, but apparently you're supposed to take one off.
Well, you could have lunch with your son today, you said.
Yeah. Now I got to find a babysitter for tonight and take the night off.
Take the night off. Yeah. That's our police report. That's our rundown for the first segment. Stick around. After, we're going to talk about the job of county attorney, a little bit how County Attorney Gish got into that role and some elements of the role. You're watching Washington Live. I'm your host, Jaron Rosine. We'll see you right after the break.
At Ace, we're eager to assist you with all your shopping needs. Whether that be finally painting that room, getting ready for the next hunting season, or upgrading your bathroom. Whatever it may be, we'll make sure you get what you need.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Federation Bank is a locally owned bank providing award-winning customer service. We believe that we are more than just a federation of banks, but a federation of communities, serving Brighton, Richland, Wellman, and Washington, Iowa. Federation Bank's highly skilled staff is here to make sure you are able to accomplish your personal and professional goals, whatever they may be. Federation Bank, your family bank.
When you aspire to be a dancer, you are both an artist and an athlete. Your strength combines with beauty and grace seamlessly. Your efforts result in enhanced coordination, the ability to cooperate and compromise with others, and the confidence to perform in front of an audience. Not to mention the fun you will have and the lifelong friendships you will develop. We are enrolling now for fall classes, and we would love to see you shine like the star that you are. Join us for Dance and Tumbling at Stairway to the Stars. Please visit our website for online registration.
Hey Vina, why is grass so dangerous?
Can't tell you.
Because it's full of blades. That's terrible.
Welcome back to Washington Live, powered by KCTC. I'm your host, Jaron Rosine. I'm joined now by our producer, Nick Steffens, and our guest today, County Attorney John Gish. Hi, John.
Good morning.
Again. So we're going to talk a bit about your job, but before we launch into that, can we just talk about how you have the job, what the path was to the work that you do?
It wasn't a straight path, I'll tell you that. I went to college at Iowa State, like I said. After I graduated, I joined the Army. Took a little bit of time off, went to law school in Drake, in Des Moines. And then after law school, I started working in employment law in Des Moines.
Okay. I did not realize that. Where were you living at in Des Moines?
We were living in Waukee, a nice little suburb out there.
You were married at the time?
Yep.
You had that?
Met my wife, Nicole, in college. We got married, had our first kid in law school. And then after a period of time working in Des Moines, wasn't quite what I had envisioned for myself. So I ended up at that time getting shipped to the Middle East for the Army. And that was in 2014.
Was that your first deployment at that time?
It was.
Yeah.
And I will say, while I was overseas in Afghanistan, I'd actually contemplated quitting law. I thought to myself I didn't want to be a lawyer.
Were you in the middle of law school at the time when you did?
I was done. I was already practicing law by that time, but I wasn't satisfied. Thought about quitting law, and then actually there was a civilian that I worked with, Mr. Jackson. I still remember. He convinced me to give it another shot, and he saw something in me that really encouraged me to go back to it, and that I decided in Afghanistan that I was going to come back and be a prosecutor.
So that was my next question. When he asked you to give it another shot, it was about all of the different types of law that you can practice and to maybe try another area in the field. Was that the kind of his push or recommendation?
That's right. Yep.
Speaking of being busy, so you were in law school, you were married, had your first child at the time. Also, your service. You mentioned that you're stationed out of Ohio now. I recall also being some time that you were in Texas, and we also have Army Reserves here in Washington. Can you describe how your service took? You mentioned not a straight path. How did your service in the Army Reserves take the path that it did?
It's been. The beauty of the Army Reserve is I get a chance, well, the Army in general, the military is such a diverse workforce. You get to know a lot of people. But in the Reserve, I get to choose where I want to be at. And so I've been in reserve units in Missouri, in Ohio, in Arizona, California. I've been in a lot of different locations, and I'm thankful for that. And so right now, I'm a major, and I'm a logistics officer, but I'm looking at making a change into civil affairs. But it's been a great journey. I've learned a lot about myself.
And the rank will stay the same, but the specialty that you focus on will be what kind of changes in this?
That's right.
Yeah. And it's not, so your title, your rank is major. Congratulations on that success, by the way.
Thanks.
Not appropriate that I would call you Major. John is what do you prefer?
Please, John. No, John. Yeah.
It'd be strange, but I've always admired Thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.
So you're going to change a little bit in that field. You have the career of county attorney, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Continuing your career in the Army Reserves, will that be all the way till retirement, or what do you see happening with that?
My goal is retirement. Yep, absolutely. I've been in for 13 and a half years now. I think most people you talk to in the military can tell you their date of enlistment. Mine was February 6, 2009.
2009.
So, looking for retirement.
With your connection to Ohio, and then you mentioned the other states, are you also connected to those in the reserve here in Washington, Iowa, or there's really no overlap, or you just know them personally? What is the connection to our local?
There wouldn't be any
company.
overlap.
Yeah.
I don't have any knowledge of them. And what you'll see, a company...
We're a medical company, I believe, yeah, so there's...
That might be right. That might be right. For a company, the highest rank you can be is a captain.
Okay.
There are no majors, so any company-sized units I wouldn't be able to be a part of.
What is the title of your type of unit instead of company?
It's the 412th Civil Affairs Battalion.
Battalion, then. I am learning things. I forgive listeners and others for being naive. Some of this I've known, but a lot of it I don't. So I appreciate you sharing.
No, happy to talk about it. I'm very proud of my service.
That is awesome. You met Nicole in college. We're going to go to a break in a second, then talk about the actual job, but I love the background. Did you have similar classes or similar friends, or what's the love story that you and Nicole have?
Nothing like that. Didn't know anybody. I ended up helping her move, and I took her out to Panera in a bowling alley. Very romantic.
This is a classic date. You're dating Jada. Jade.
Yeah, just the first.
What was your first date, Nick?
Our first date, we just got coffee, and then there's like a garden area on campus that we just sat in for like 3 or 4 hours just talking.
Nice.
But Panera was our fourth date.
It's making connections. That Panera bread.
Can't go wrong. Yeah.
That is sweet stuff. We're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the actual work. I really enjoy talking about background and connections to get to the work, but when we come back, a little bit about what's rewarding, what's challenging, how the legislature impacts your work. That's all to come. Stick around and join us after the break, where we pick up where we left off.
Since 1905, Kelowna Cooperative Technology Company has helped our community stay connected with the latest advancements in clear, dependable telecommunications services. KCTC provides rural Iowans with access to high-speed fiber internet, as well as phone, television, computer repair, and cybersecurity solutions. We're also proud supporters of local organizations and area schools within the community. KCTC, keeping Kelowna connected.
For many, farmland holds more than financial value. It holds emotional value. Whether your farm has been in your family for generations or it's an investment, we recognize the importance of your relationship with your land. At Hertz Farm Management, we have been serving landowners in Iowa for over 75 years. At Hertz, we bring a personal and knowledgeable approach to helping customers manage, buy, sell, or appraise farms. We invite you to visit our Washington office and partner with someone you can trust.
Welcome back to Washington Live, powered by KCTC. I'm your host, Jaron Rosine. I'm joined now by our producer, Nick, and our guest, County Attorney John Gish. And we're going to get to the meat of the matter, the work. Where should we start? The rewarding parts or the challenging parts? What is your job? your job title is county attorney. What does your job entail? Let's start with that.
My job is governed by Iowa law, and really what it is, two major things to think about. One, criminal prosecutor. That's really my number one priority. But number two, and just as important, is providing civil advice and guidance to, boards and county officers.
Okay.
So criminal prosecution in my office, the way I have it broken up is I have two assistant county attorneys, and my caseload is pure felonies.
Who are the assistant county attorneys? Remind me.
Yeah, I have Jennifer Lerner, who's been with the office for, I think, coming up on 8 years.
Okay, yep. I know
And
Jennifer.
Shane McChurch, who's been with our office since he was an intern at the Iowa Law School.
I remember meeting Shane when he was coming down, yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a great team, and your focus is the felonies, the major crimes.
That's right.
I recall you speaking about the frustration with the court system and the scheduling of courts and how, you want to prosecute more cases because they're serious and deserving, but you really have to pick, as I recall. Can you share with our viewers what that struggle and obstacle is? What's happening with our court systems?
Well, I think we in Iowa are at a point that is not sustainable. We have great judges and everything else, but our judiciary has reduced its trial docket because they have too few judges. They have too few court reporters. There are not enough criminal defense attorneys. But at the same time, we have a caseload throughout the state that's increasing. Crime is up the last couple years. Here in Washington County, last year, our indictable offenses, which are serious misdemeanors up to murder, those were up 25% from 2021 to what our average is. This year, we're going to break that.
It's increasing even more.
From January 2022 to the end of August, we filed just as many indictments as we did on an average year from up to 2020.
So there's the 25%, and then we're already there and have 3 months to go. Is that kind of what you're saying, or however many months to go?
We're not at where we are last year, but I do predict we're going to shatter last year's record.
And those aren't records that you want to shatter.
I would love to work myself out of a job, because that would mean we don't have crime.
I don't know what to take away where, I like solvable problems, things where I see a solution. And as we talk about this, the lack of judges, court reporters, defense attorneys, the increase in crime, are there some fruit that you think can be picked that help solve some of the problems that we're facing? What do you think about solutions?
Well, I think ultimately what's happening is local jurisdictions are having to pick up slack. So the sheriff's office, the PD here in Washington County, they've had to hire additional deputies and officers because they're needed. And so I think what the state can do is increase the budget for the Department of Corrections.
Okay.
Prisons are overcrowded, so what are we seeing? On a 10-year prison sentence, you're getting out in 6 months or a year.
I've seen some of your posts and your press releases about that. You
Right.
get a sentence, but then the reality is
right. And I think the public deserves to know the truth. Everybody that works in the criminal justice system knows what I'm talking about, but the average citizen does not. Why?
That's a good question. I can't give you that answer. Well, one thing I saw, I was on a talk show, they talked about how so many people, the knowledge that they have of our court systems comes from the show Law and Order.
Yeah.
And that in reality, 97% of cases are not happening in the courtroom. What would you say the percentage of the felony cases that you work on, the cases that go to court, what would that percentage breakdown be for our county attorney's office?
I think the percentage of cases that go to trial is maybe like 2 or 3%.
So that'd be about right on.
So the rest of them we have to do plea agreements. I think before I became a prosecutor, I heard of plea agreement, and I'm thinking don't plead that case out. And I hear that too, and that's fair. But the alternative is just dismissing.
Well, and you don't have a choice to find that plea when there's I mean, and how that would be such a struggle, I think, to rank these cases where they're all serious and there's a victim and there's an impact, and then you only can, I mean, there's just, your hands are tied with the 3% that can go to trial.
That's right. I think that you point out a very, very real challenge for prosecutors. When people come to our office as victims of crime, they're coming to you when they've experienced the worst thing in their life. Mm-hmm. And they want us to know how much that crime has affected them. And so I have to think about, what case am I going to try? Is it this sex abuse, or is it this person that delivered methamphetamine? I'm going to tell you I'd rather try the sex abuse case. But there's a lot of different variables to that too. Is it a kid? You know, is it a child victim, which most of them are?
The drug case or the sex, or both, I suppose.
With both.
Yeah.
But a lot of different variables go into every single case. Nothing's the same.
I'm a distractible person anyway with a little ADHD, and that is happening right now as I have so many thoughts. One was about jurisdictions picking up slack in the mental health aspect. Another was how that relates to drug use. And so I have a psych BA, and I thought I would go to law school, but I wanted to work for a year before making such a big decision. And for me, the debt, I guess my point is with that psych knowledge and restaurant industry work and bar work, I've seen a lot of really good people that are, drugs intrigue me, and why people do them and use them, and how that relates to the mental health, and then also them being illegal. Do you have any thought in this category of nonviolent crimes, people being incarcerated? Meth is, I would think, a little different than some of the other drugs. Do you have a philosophy or an approach? What can you share in this vein?
Generally,
my question is not perfect, but no, I apologize.
No, I know exactly where you're going, and my general preference is to punish violent criminals or habitual criminals more severely than drug users. So, one thing I'll pitch is, in Washington County, our supervisors have this program called Washington County Outreach.
Okay.
And right now it's being directed by Brandon Hamilton. And I think we're the only county in the entire state that has this program. The rest of the state, you have the Iowa Department of Corrections to supervise people. But they generally don't do a whole lot, in my opinion, with people that use drugs.
And that's where this focus of the county outreach is?
That's exactly right. So outreach is really geared towards helping people get out of addiction for drugs and alcohol. They get on probation. They're held accountable compared to the Department of Corrections, where they frequently supervise those type of people at what's called a level 1, meaning a person at that level only has to meet with their supervising officer once every 6 months. So if somebody's using drugs,
if they're able to turn it on and off, they could just use at will and then stop immediately prior to seeing their person, right?
Exactly right. I've had a person who was convicted of selling drugs, who was putting these harmful substances in the street, and the Department of Corrections put them at a level 1. Who is supervising that person?
Who's supervising the Department of Corrections? Is that the state legislature, or what? Who's in charge there?
The state of Iowa, the state of executive.
Well, there's lots of categories to get all twisted off on. Anyway,
I could go on for a lot of different areas here.
Well, some takeaways so far that I have today would be about job opportunities. Like, I would assume court reporter's a good job.
Court reporter's a great job, great benefits.
What's the type of education that someone needs to go into that? A certification, a college class? Because I was thinking of the links that we can put out. Often we put links in the chat, and I think one would be to Washington County Outreach, or at least contact information for that.
Yeah.
Another might be job opportunities, such as a court reporter job.
Court reporter job is a great job. You get to hear all sorts of different things, good pay, like I said, great benefits. I think, so it's high school graduation, and then I'll probably get this wrong, and I'm sorry to all my court reporter friends out there, but I think it's a 1 or 2 year program. DMAC has a class that they recently opened, and then once you do that, then you have to get trained in real life and get certified.
But it'd be just like, again, so I had that 4-year degree that for my case is not necessary. The trade, the work, quality, integrity, being a court reporter, I think we could put that into the chat of people that are listening or someone that this would be a good fit. I mean, there's obviously a need. The demand is there.
Yes, huge need, statewide.
We are planning on ending on a lighter note. John knows about the birthday game that we have planned. Before we do that, is there anything that you'd like to talk about that we missed? I think we're getting the word out there to many of our listeners that might not know. Law and order is not the way to learn about the
That's right.
The field.
A lot of things that I care deeply about with what we do. A lot of things that I want more people to know about. But I think where we've covered is good for now. Maybe you can have me back.
I was going to say we might need to do a repeat and fill in some of the blanks. As I was distracted too, I kind of bounced all over the board. But this is just important stuff to talk about.
It is. Thank you for having me for that.
My pleasure. Nick, we're going to transition to the birthday game. Hopefully not too much of a violent transition, but it is nice to end on a light note as we talk about very serious things. I'm going to say some happy birthdays first, and then we'll do our celebrities.
Sounds good.
Thanks to all our listeners. As always, if you have something that you'd like to share, put that right in the chat. You can always email washialive@gmail.com. I say happy birthday to my friend Kim Ream, to Amy Miller, and to my cousin Justin Adams. Those are 3 friend birthdays I have today, and I don't think we have any in the chat yet, but
Not that I see.
we can always give a belated happy birthday when when that happens. Looks like we have 4 celebrity birthdays. As you know, I'm not very good at this game.
I came here to win, Jaron.
Okay. Well, off we go. Take it away, Nick.
So to give the audience a refresher, I put a celebrity whose birthday is today on the screen. You guys have to guess their birthday. If you're within 3 years, you get a point. Right on, you get 2 points.
All right.
So it's nice that you watch the show.
Sometimes I like to tie. It's just nice, but apparently we're out for being competitive today.
All right, first up, we have Andrew Lincoln from The Walking Dead. Actually British. Didn't know that.
I did not know that either.
There's such a good Southern accent there.
I did watch a little of The Walking Dead, but I couldn't stick with it all the way through.
Me neither.
No. Would you like to go first? You are the guest.
The gray beard, but not a whole lot of wrinkles. I'm go with 53.
Oh, and I'm going to swing lower with the 48.
He is 49. So James,
Wow.
I will take a point, and since you're late, I don't mind a bit.
Well done.
All right.
just missed by.
Who do we have next?
We have Sam Neill from Jurassic Park movies. I don't know if he's in anything else. I just know the Jurassic Park movies.
You have seen them. Have you seen the original?
Yes, I have.
Okay, that's wonderful news. I'll go first, I suppose, and I'll guess 72.
65.
He is 75. So, Jaron, you get another point.
I came in overconfident.
What if I shut you out? Then you definitely will have to come back to redeem on the birthday game. Who do we have next?
Next up, we have the rapper Nas.
Okay.
Nas.
Very good. But then there's Little Nas X as well, right?
Yes, no relation. I don't think.
All right. Would you like to go first?
So he's known for his album Illmatic.
All right.
And that came out in the mid-90s.
I think you might have an advantage on this one.
Go with 46.
I will do 44.
He is 49. So, John, you're on the board.
All right.
Going into the last round.
I believe it is 2-1, according to my marks.
It is 2-1.
We have one more birthday. What do we have?
We have, let's see. I don't know how much knowledge you have for soap operas, but it's Melissa Leo from All Our Children.
By not much, not any. I'm afraid. Do you have much?
0.
This is not what's playing in the background.
No.
Yeah, I was going to talk about a day in the life, but again, the next time.
Apparently, I need to include older celebrities from like shows and stuff from like the 80s. So this is that.
Okay.
All right. Would you like to go first?
Uh, 68.
65.
She is 62. So Darren, you get.
Oh man.
All right.
That was 3-1.
Wasn't a sweep, but you handled me.
That was a blind guess. Well, a friendly competition it is. Thanks again to County Attorney John Gish for being our guest today. We'll have to have you back.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. You're watching Washington Live, powered by KCTC. Stick around for a fun show on Friday. Diana Rich will be back. We're going to co-host and chat together. I mentioned next week we have Carrie Ann, our librarian, and Mikkel Anding Rank, a counselor in town. We'll look forward to those conversations and more on the next episode of Washington Live.